All right, you guys, we are back this time with our November 2024 Phenomena, Abby Combs. Let me tell you about Abby. Abby is the owner of eStudios, a marketing firm that manages the marketing efforts of small businesses to help e-commerce brands leverage their online communities, cultivate communication with their audience, and increase customer conversation and conversion through email marketing and overall digital marketing management. They offer services like email and SMS marketing, social media management, Shopify website builds and maintenance, plus one to one consulting. From multi million dollar companies to 5 to 6 figure businesses, Abby and her team have a solution for your marketing needs. Here's what else you need to know about Abby, and you'll learn a little bit more about the episode. She is a mom of some young kids. At one point, she had 2 kids under the age of 1. She is a freaking rock star when it comes to marketing. I had my mind blown multiple times during this episode. And if you haven't looked at her headshot, she's a Carrie Underwood lookalike. She is absolutely stunning. I love Abby. She's become a dear friend to me, and we've nominated her for our November Phenomena because she is just, as you'll learn in this episode, a superstar. So join me in talking to Abby and learning about how email marketing can actually help you convert more of your customers and why. Welcome to the Profitability Podcast. I'm Joey.
And I'm Mackenzie.
Join us as we explore success in business and life, proving that while finance may not feel sexy, profitability is. Okay, cool. Well, Abby, welcome to the Profitability Podcast. We are so excited that you're here. I can't even tell you, I'm like a weird stalker fan of yours. It's fine. It's normal. We haven't known each other that long, but I have, let's see, I met you just earlier this year, and then we went to another event together. But then I also actually used you guys at the eStudios for my Q4 email marketing. And just yesterday, sent an email out, and these are totally automated. I don't touch them. They just go. It's amazing. I always am like, oh, look, I sent myself an email this morning. Like I see it in my own inbox, and I'm like, what did I send out to the people today? And just yesterday, I had someone respond to me, and they were like, you're hitting all the pain points just perfectly. You just described my situation so well. Where can I sign up? And I was like, what? That's
No
never
way.
happened. Yes, I know. It was crazy. So, I hate email marketing. Every time I have tried it, I'm like, what do I write? Where do I start? And that doesn't even touch like the technical side of actually making it look good and sending it out and automating it. But for whatever reason, maybe because I'm a service-based business, I'm just like, I don't I don't know how this works. And to see it work for me with really, it was all done for me. Like I had maybe 2 meetings with your team, and then just to see it already converting, I'm like, what have I been doing this whole time? This is amazing. So huge fan. And I want to get into what you guys do and even hear more about, how it all started. So just start by telling us about you, who you are, and how you got into this.
Well, okay. First of all, I'm so excited. That is like the best news. The best way to start a day is to hear that the things that I know would work actually did work. So
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's so good.
It's true.
Okay, yeah. So I own eStudios, and we are primarily an email marketing firm, management firm. We have kind of taken on different shapes and sizes over the past 5 years. We will turn 5 in November of this year. So I think we can get into like how that feels. 5 years feels like I should know a lot more, and also we've come so far.
Yeah.
So we help small businesses for a long time, we helped them with all of their marketing. Well, 90% of their digital marketing efforts. And now we have niched down to just do email marketing. We do email and SMS, and then we can manage some of the technical side of Shopify websites. So a lot of our clients are e-commerce, but what we do, and really what's been tricky for us over the past 5 years, is what we do really applies to every business, probably 99% of businesses. Maybe there's a couple that doesn't apply, but so it's been hard because my nature is just to help people, and I want to help all the people with all the things. And that can be a roller coaster in a service-based business to not like have a specialty. So niching down this past year to just email and SMS has been really, really great for us. And it's been really great for us to be able to like even get even better. So yeah, I could kind of go on and on, but that's what we do.
I'm going to let you because I am truly so interested in this. And like I said, email marketing is something that has been in the back of my head since I started a business. And probably similarly, a lot of people who are listening or other small business owners probably feel the same like, okay, marketing. Should I start on social? Should I start with email? Should I start with, referrals? What is it? Where do I start? Do I go purchase a billboard? Like it can be very
Right.
overwhelming. And so I do want to get into and talk about the specifics of email marketing and your advice for small businesses. But um, tell us a little bit more about your journey into marketing, how you got there, and then your decision as a company to niche down into email marketing.
There's always the long version, the long story, and I never know how much to shorten make it short and sweet. We have time. We have time. Well, really how E Studios was born, if we jump to the middle of the story, is I was working somewhere else and I had a baby and I was commuting like 30 minutes each way, which isn't that big of a deal, but really where my mindset was with working was I'm going to do this as like a little jobby, right? Like I'm getting paid, but I'm having so much fun and I want to feel like more like a human and instead of just a carpool, chauffeur. And so then it became kind of like that business kept growing and growing, and which we can kind of get to in a minute. But and they needed someone to commit full time, and I just couldn't because I had a little guy at home, and I had a nanny, and I had two kids in school full time. Um, but I didn't want to work more than like part time, and so I decided to stay home and or come home. And I tell people that I held still for about 5 seconds because I had a lot of friends and family which I've learned a lot about myself. That's one thing entrepreneurs know, that you learn so much about yourself when you start a business. I didn't know that. But I've learned that I don't love to hold still, but I love a good nap. I love a good Netflix session, but I don't like to hold still. So coming home after working um, for this other company, after a couple of weeks, after all the cupboards were cleaned out and all the laundry was caught up on, I was like, what am I doing all day? I have no emails to answer. And I had friends and family that had small businesses. And so they were asking me some questions like, right then, or back then, this was 5 years ago. Blogs are still a big deal, but they were still a big deal then, or a bigger deal then. And people were trying to connect their blogs to their Shopify site. And how do I get it organized where my social is promoting my blog? Similar to podcasts now. Podcasts were like just becoming a thing then. And so I was like, well, I ran our whole marketing department and I ran all the marketing calendars and the strategy and the like logistics. So let me just help you. And so I'd build these like marketing calendars and it was so fun for me. And then that kind of snowballed. So that's kind of how it started by just helping people, and how I became profitable was eventually I was hiring babysitters every week to watch my little guy so I could work. And my husband's like, we're spending money for you to work and you're not making any money because you're just helping people and you're not charging them. And so then I was like, I don't know how much to charge. And so honestly, the biggest advice I give a lot of small business owners when they're very, very first starting is like, just go make $1. Because my husband, I was like, I need a website and I need my own marketing calendar and I need an Instagram and I need a mission statement and I need a value proposition. I need to like have my services laid out, what I'm giving them, what I'm doing and how much. And he's like, actually, no, you don't, because you don't even know if you can pay for a website yet. It's like, you don't even know if this is going to work. So just go make $1. And so I remember going to my first meeting with a client I met in person in Orem, just down the street from me. And um, I was like, I don't know, like $1,000. That's so much freaking money. Like if I could have them pay $1,000, I would do whatever they wanted, like all day, every day. And then I'm like, could you imagine if I had 10 clients that were paying $1,000 a month? $10,000 a month? Like that's six figures of money. Like I would never think that I could make six figures of income on my own. And so I was like, I just only want to make $1,000 a client. And they said yes. And I worked, I probably made like $10 an hour in the end because I just did whatever, whenever. I would go in their office, I'd work there a couple of days a week. I worked on several of their brands that they had. So I was really doing like 5 clients at a time for a small amount of money at the time. But it was just so great because then it proved out the model, so to speak. It gave me breathing room to like pay the sitter, um, kind of figure out what I'm doing without having to like rely on money or having to pay back any sort of like debt yet. And what was nice about service based is I had no overhead. I already had a computer, we already had internet at our house. I just worked out of my house and we just tried to make $1. And then we did. So that's like how it like kind of all came together. But really, I didn't go to school for marketing. I didn't even graduate college. I didn't really have a specialty in college. My like bucket list item or thing was at the time when I was 18 was to cheer in college. I was a cheerleader all through high school, and then I was a cheerleader for All-Star Cheer my senior year. And I was like, it'd be really cool to cheer in college. That'd be cool. Okay, like bucket list, let's do it. And so then I went down to Dixie, which is Utah Tech University now, Utah Tech. Anyway, and I tried out, like, we'll just try it out. I don't know. I don't even know what Dixie is, but it's in St. George and it's a lot warmer, and I love palm trees. And so my mom and I went down and I tried out, and then I made the team. And I was like, well, I'm going to Dixie. Anyway, so that was like my college experience, was just to cheer in college, and obviously like grew a ton and learned a bunch. But I didn't go to school for marketing. Marketing, like digital marketing, was not a degree when I went to college. That wasn't a thing until the past maybe like, I don't know, 10 years. And social media marketing was not a thing at all. We barely had Facebook. Like that was not a thing. So that wasn't really around. But fast forward, got married, had babies, all the things. And then we got pregnant in 2015 and had our little boy, Easton, that passed away. And so it's kind of a whole long story. And I'm totally open to all the questions, and you can tell me how much you want to talk about. Um, but yeah, so we had Easton in October of 2015. He lived for 2 hours and 15 minutes and then passed. And we knew going into it that he would pass, which was a blessing in disguise, I guess, because we could kind of prepare and plan. We didn't have a whole, nursery full of baby stuff because we knew at about 28, 30 weeks that he wouldn't survive. And so that was its whole experience and was so beautiful and so terrible all at the same time. And that was in October of 2015. February of 2016, yeah. I had a friend that worked for Betty's, which is a local company here to Utah, but they are really, I think they're international now. Um, and they are a zipper bedding company, and it's all your bedding in one, and you zip to make your bed. Anyway, so my friend was working there, and she was doing like their photo shoot. So she would go and set up beds and air mattresses and steam all the beds, and she wanted some help. And I think God knew to put her in my life at that moment because she knew that I needed to just get out of the house. And I have 2 kids. My first two are 11 months apart, so they're in the same grade actually because of their birthdays. Yeah. And just cut me off if I'm rambling because I get I do this, but so my first two are 11 months apart. They're in the same grade. At the time they were in kindergarten together. So I had, 3 hours of just like alone time, no kids. And my husband traveled for work. He traveled really our whole our whole married life up until that point. And so he would be gone like a week on or a week off, or like 3 weeks on and 2 days off. He was just kind of always gone. And so I would just spend my days here at the house, like staring at, I mean, in the depths of grief and just staring at the corner where the toys were supposed to be and the rooms that the crib was supposed to be in. Just, it was just kind of awful. And so when my friend asked that I would just help her on these photo shoots, it was the biggest blessing because it just gave me something to look forward to. It gave me something to just put on my calendar besides just sit at home. And so I helped her, and I had this much teeny tiny experience in photography. And if you ask me to take your photo, I won't because I'm not good at it. But at the time, I knew enough about a camera to help take some pictures for buddies when they were in their infancy stage. And so I would go and I would help steam these beds and set up air mattresses, and we were sweating all day. And I would take some of their photos, um, their white background photos. Anyway, and I just fell in love with this brand. And actually, even before that, now that I'm remembering, we she asked me to help at a trade show. That's what it was. It was at a hunting expo because Betty's had some camo bedding that was kind of trending at the time. And they wanted to get into more like campers and RVs. And so they had one of their either strategic partners or somebody on their team suggested that they go to this camping expo, very similar like a Pinners or a Christmas show. There was a hunting expo. And so we set up some beds and she asked me to work a shift, and I studied the website backwards and forwards, every which way. I understood all the products, their pricing, like I memorized all the pricing. I was so excited. I went shopping because I was postpartum body. I like went and bought these like slacks and this blouse. I remember as I was like, this is like a big deal. I need to look nice. And I show up and she's like in jeans and a t-shirt because it's a hunting expo. Yeah. And she gives me a trucker hat that's a camo trucker hat with like Betty's on it. And I'm like, I'm in a blouse. This does not match. But it was just like, I remember like having purpose of like just getting out of the house and like shopping for an outfit for some other reason besides sitting at home. I don't know. It was just like so healing. So these are all the little details, but help them with the expo. And then they kept having some expos that I would help with. Then I helped with the photo shoots. And then I just like anytime they needed me, I was like, yes, yes, I'll be there. I'll figure out a sitter. I'll be there, whatever. And then that turned into like their warehouse sale, helping them with their warehouse sale. And I was like running in the back trying to get product. I was checking people out. I was learning their POS system. I was trying to sell. Like I was doing whatever, and it was so much fun. And then you guys will get a kick out of this because Joey, you know that I know nothing about accounting. And I like don't do that. That's why I have you guys, right? And so they call me, the owners, and they're like, "Can we get on a call with you? We want to like talk about some opportunities." And I'm like, "Yeah, for sure." So they're like, "We really need some help and we'd love to hire you as a bookkeeper." I'm like, yes, I can do spreadsheets. Yes, for sure. So I call my husband and I'm like, they offer me a job as a bookkeeper. And he's like, Abby, that's not like books. Like, that's not like reading. That's like accounting, like finance stuff, like numbers. I'm like, can't care. Can't care. I I'm gonna be an accountant, I think. I think that's what I'm gonna be now. It's gonna be great. So, and I think they were just like, we need some help. Like, it's kind of the area we think, and like, we just need a reason to put you on payroll, you know? So I start and like, I'm trying to figure out and learn QuickBooks. Never opened QuickBooks in my life. I'm like, yeah, I know QuickBooks. We're going to figure it out. And then I'm like trying to figure out, one of the owners wants help with like inventory ordering. So I'm like figuring that out. I have no idea how to order from China. We're going to figure it out. And then really quickly within the first 2 weeks, they're like, actually, I think Betsy needs help with marketing. And not because I didn't like do it well, but because the systems weren't set up to have another person help. Angie, who was doing that side of it at the time. And so, and I was like gravitating towards the marketing side anyway. And Betsy was doing all of it on her own. So all the social media she was creating, and they had like over 100,000 followers, which, 8 years ago, that was a huge deal. And it is now too. Um, they were working with influencers left, right, center. Like they were just doing so much of that, and there was no way to manage it. Betsy was just keeping it in her head and through emails. Anyway, so I was like, we could build out like a spreadsheet to manage that. And we could like build out on your website. I think I like learned Shopify. I had no idea what that was before. We could build out like a form on the site that people could fill out. We could like track if they've gotten their stuff. And anyway, we just like dove headfirst into that side, which became really the marketing side of the business. But it was so small. There were 4 people, the 2 owners, and then an office manager and me. And we just like figured it out. And they were doing $1 million in revenue, and their husbands were doing the fulfillment. And then it was the 4 of us, and we just figured out that was the name of the game, and that's still kind of the name of the game. We just kind of learned how to figure stuff out. And And then the team grew really rapidly, and so then my job kept bouncing around with different tasks, but it kind of consumed like the marketing side. So still was doing like weekly photo shoots, or at least twice a month photo shoots, which then eventually led to weekly photo shoots. And then helping to run or running their social media, running all their collaborations, getting into their email marketing, which was like honestly probably 50 to 60% of their revenue. Maybe not that high, but it was a huge revenue generator for them. And then I was helping with their Facebook ads a little bit, or kind of strategizing there. And then I eventually ran a team that was doing that there too. So, and then when I left, so I was there for 3.5 years doing all the things, had some amazing opportunities to work with some really, really great brands and some influencers, was able to go to Shanghai, China, and that was a really cool experience. Um, and then when I left, they were on track to do 20 million in revenue that year. So they just had rapid growth in 3.5 years. And I was at the forefront of seeing it all and learning it all, and just watching a team grow and watching how the owners ran a business and ran a team. And I just loved the environment and the culture. Um, and yeah, so there's a long story of like how I got into marketing. And so then we go to where I, decided to stay home because they were growing so rapidly, and I was still working like, I mean, I worked a lot at home too. But I probably only worked 20 hours a week. And so to really have, a marketing manager who wasn't there full time at that scale was a detriment to their brand. And so they saw that, and we both decided like I either need to own only one piece, one small piece that really was big, and work full time, or I needed to just stay home. And so we both mutually left on really, really great terms, and cried the day I left. I didn't want to leave, but I was like, I know they need someone full time. I don't want to work full time, and I got to be home with my little guy. So, yeah, that's how I got into marketing.
There's so many pieces of this story that I just like. I know that you probably have know this and have analyzed this over the years, but the only person here that has an accounting degree is Becca. And Kenzie and I, and even Becca, have such similar stories of we just started by diving in and figuring it out. Started by some happenstance, random meeting somewhere, something, just very, very inspired pieces moving that when you look back a decade later, you're like, oh, I see what
Yes.
was happening. I get it now, and I think for women especially, and especially in those years of you just got married and you're having babies maybe, and you're still kind of trying to define who you are. For us, that's in our 20s, that's such a
Mhm.
sometimes difficult but exciting time. It I remember having so many days, and it sounds like maybe you do too, of sitting there going, okay, I wanted to be a mom, I wanted to be a wife, I wanted to do all these things, but who am I? And what
Yeah.
am I doing here? And I'm not a hold still person either. I don't think anyone on my team is a hold still person. So we totally relate to that. But there are just so many days where you're like, okay, seriously, like, what am I supposed to do? I feel stuck, but I want to move forward and I have ideas and I know I have a purpose here, but like, it's got to be something else. And there's something more. And now looking back on, at least for the last decade for me, I'm like, okay, I get it now. All the pieces were there and they were moving in the background. I just didn't realize it. So I love that you have a similar story because it's just, I think, so inspiring to the people that maybe are still in those
Hmm.
days of like, what's meant for me. And maybe it's people who are struggling to have babies and they want babies, like it could
Yes.
be any number of things. It doesn't necessarily have to be a career, but to look back and be like, the pieces are moving. You just got to kind of hang in there and also be willing to jump in with both feet when the opportunity comes knocking. And I love that
Yeah.
about you as well, that you were just like, they wanted me to bookkeep, so I bookkeeped. Like I did whatever it took to just jump in, and those are the people that make it. It might take
Yeah.
5 years, it might take 10 years, it might take 20 years, but those 100% of the time are the people that make it, that don't say no
Yeah.
to anything until you can afford to say no to anything. Then we'll have a different
Yes.
conversation.
Yes.
Um,
Well, and I think
but
you make a
yeah,
good
I
point
love
too,
it.
because, my oldest is 15. So 15 or 14, 13 years ago when they were little, it wasn't as widely accepted as it is now for women to want something in addition to motherhood, especially, living here in Utah, I think, and I'm in Utah County, I think the culture, especially then, and probably way before me, really emphasized that like you have babies and that's what you do. And then you're a stay-at-home mom. And I really, really admire those that are stay-at-home moms. I don't think that women have to be more than that, or that you're less than if you only wanted. I have two sisters who are stay-at-home moms, don't have a career, and I think that they're great moms, and they feel fully fulfilled. Say that 5 times fast. And they really, really love it. And sure, there's hard days and dark days, and it's not always like amazing and beautiful. Either is having a career. And so I really, really admired that. But I was, especially the way that I grew up, I was never really taught that it was okay to have a career, which is ironic because my parents, and I think all of you guys maybe are in Utah, but so my parents owned Raging Waters in Salt Lake, which is a water park in Salt Lake City, which is now demolished, which is sad. I think I haven't been up there, but yeah, tragic for sure. And so like, and then my grandpa started like a family fun center in Southern California and made really, really good money off of doing that. And so small business and entrepreneurship is actually in my blood, which I didn't really know that until after, I ran my own business. And so my mom did work in the summer. We had, nannies every summer because she helped run the water park. And so I did see my mom work, but I know that it was a strain on her, and that was always kind of the language, whether she intended to or not. The language around it was like, I remember her not loving it. Like she had to do it. And so then when I had kids, that's all I wanted to do is be a mom and have kids and have babies. And so here I am. I have two little babies under, well, actually, I had two babies under one. My daughter's first birthday, I had a 3-week-old, so it was wild. So I had these two little babies. My husband's traveling, and we had no money. And I remember like sitting on the front porch of our townhouse, if it was a porch at all, and I called my mom, and I was like, this is terrible. Like this actually is not fun. Like when does it get fun? Like what, how did you do this? Like I can't keep up on all the things. And she was like, yeah, it's really, really hard. It's nearly impossible to keep up on all the things. She's like, I had a house cleaner. Like I had help that came in, like helped our laundry. Like we had some really great things that helped her get through. But I honestly thought you popped out a kid and then you ran carpools and like you got to like go out to lunch and stuff. I didn't know that like 0 to 8 was like sitting at home with your kid. Yeah, hell, watching Disney Junior and like being so sick of Doc McStuffins. Like,
I
I
was just gonna
love
say,
that
I have to watch
girl.
one
But
more Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I'm gonna lose it.
yes, and speaking of, there was this TikTok I watched that's like what was it? Something about like, do you know these Disney characters, like lesser known Disney characters? And there was one that popped up, and I'm like, he's on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Don't know his name, and I think that's not where he came from, but I know he's on Mickey Mouse
He's
Clubhouse.
there. Yes.
Anyway,
It's
yeah. So
so
anyway,
true.
so as I'm sitting at home with these little babies, I'm like feeling this extreme guilt and maybe even shame that I'm like, yeah, I kind of hate this. Like my kids are boring and they cry all the time. They want to eat all the time, and I like can't go anywhere. We're eating mac and cheese every night for dinner. Like this is hard. And then
And I
when
mean,
my
it's worth pointing out that you actually had it like really hard. Like,
yeah.
I'm never gonna complain again because you're telling this story, and I'm like, oh my God.
No, no, no. And that's one thing that we honestly learned from Easton was like everyone's crap stinks. Like everyone has something that's like knee deep, like in it, and it's so hard. And there was a lot of like small little whisperings, I think, that God was like, no, 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 no. Like this freaking sucks, and I get it. Like I'm here for you, but like everyone has something hard. Like it's hard, you know. And so I I think anything under 3 years apart is hard. But if you can potty train a kid and then have another kid, if you can only have one kid in diapers, that's a little bit easier than two. Um, if you can have only one nursery at a time, we had two. Like that's a little easier. So yeah, it's really wild. But then because they're the same age, there were a lot of things that were easy. Like they both liked the same snacks. They both had the same nap time. So I got 3 hours every afternoon where I could take a nap, I could watch a show, I could work or whatever. Like a lot of times when you have a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month old, they take different nap schedules. So you never really have time for yourself. So it's just like all hard for sure. So yeah, so then my sister's mother-in-law runs a like little league a cheerleading group. And so when my babies, I call them the babies, they're 15 and 14, but they're still the babies. Um when the babies were 18 months and two and a half ish, yeah, that my sister's mother-in-law asked or was looking for a cheer coach, and my sister was like, well, my sister cheered in high school and in college, like she probably would do it. So she asked me, and you could have thought I won the lottery. I was like, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And my husband was like, no, no. Why are you going to go coach cheer? Are you kidding? Like, I leave our family every week to go make money and provide for our family. You're going to now leave our kids and go coach cheer, and you're going to get paid how many single dollars basically? Like, you're going to make no money after paying a sitter. What? Like, it made no sense. And it was actually very contentious between the two of us. He was really, really mad because in his mind, he's like, I'm doing my responsibility. You do yours. Like, this is how we set it up. And then I was working, which I didn't think I was working, you know? And so I coached cheer for a little bit, and it was just like the same thing, like this, oh, I have this additional purpose and drive, and I can do that and be a mom. And then, and I think actually even before that, I wanted a sewing machine for Christmas because I wanted to learn how to sew. And my mom got me one. I was literally married with kids, and my mom got me a sewing machine for Christmas. And I learned how to like sew basically a very not straight line. And I made, do you remember? I don't know if you guys remember that like burp rags, like you could make your own burp rags. Yeah, that was super in. So I made all of those for my friends and my sisters. I made car seat covers. I
See,
don't
here I was
really.
thinking we were the same because I also asked for a sewing machine to
Okay.
find some kind of purpose, and
Yes.
I did not ever sew a single thing. So I was like, I was with you, and then you lost me.
And then you lost me. I started an Instagram. I was going to like start a business. I was going to be a seamstress. And I was like, those lines aren't straight. I probably shouldn't sell this. And so, but it was so fun to like give them to my friends. And so then I coached cheer, and then that led to me coaching all-star cheer. And then after that, I left that. Oh, so I left coaching cheer because I got pregnant with Easton. And and then that season kind of fizzled out, and then I got pregnant, and again, God was in the details of like, yeah, you're going to want to focus all on this and not be coaching cheer because this is going to be rough for the next year. And so then we had Easton, and I didn't work that year. And then the next year found Betty's. So to your point that like in the moment, it's not easy, and it's not like there's not this alignment or a straight path, or it's like focus, because I'm like, you're coaching cheer and then we end up owning a marketing firm. Like those don't correlate, but the experience of, yeah, the figuring out and the hustling and the like, and then really what I sit in now in my hard days with my business, like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? How do we scale? How do we do all these things? I go back to the core of like, what has worked since those days sitting on the porch of like, this sucks. And it was like, I just wanted to be around other people, and I wanted to help people. And it's taken some different vehicles that's led me here, but that underlying theme has found success. And so when I remember, or I like literally go into sales meetings, pinners yesterday, networking events where like, I want to serve and help people. And that's my mission. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs feel that. Um, and if that can be my mindset, then opportunities come, I think that should.
I also think that you should give yourself like heaps and heaps and heaps of credit because not only do you jump in with both feet anytime an opportunity comes knocking, you're willing to say yes just because, but you are so, we talk about this a lot because our type A oldest daughter mindset makes us, it's really difficult to fail and we don't want to. It's very
Yes.
uncomfortable and we would love to just learn from everybody else's failures, and please don't ask me to have my own because I can't even compute that.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm sure that you feel that in your head, but when you tell your story, you went ahead anyways.
Yeah.
You got the sewing machine and your lines weren't straight and you did it anyways. And
Yeah.
you started the Instagram and you didn't know what was coming and you didn't know if it was cheer or this or that or a marketing company or if it was to be a mom. Like you had no idea. You just kept going. Even in business today, there are so many times where it's just like you said, what am I doing? This feels wrong. This isn't working the way I want it to or as fast as I want it to. And you just kind of have to let time take its course and just keep putting one foot in front of the other and hope that it all falls into place. I mean, like I find that the more that I force and grind and push, it's actually harder. And
Yeah.
when I, like you said, kind of come back to these, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? What's the real point of it? And then I kind of
Mhm.
let everything else go. It's pretty amazing how things just kind of start happening, which is
Yeah.
so hard for my personality type to just let go.
Totally. No, and
Really
as you're
hard.
saying it, I'm like, I know I could probably look back across the last 5 years just in the business of times that I have just let go. And look, we're still alive, we're still profitable, we're still here. And so, sure, it worked. But as you're saying it, I'm like, no, no, I don't just let go. I have full control. Like, I want full control of the letting go and the plan. There was a meme that's like, I'm totally go with the flow as long as you tell me ahead of time what the flow will be and when we
When
are
does the
going with
flow
that flow.
start? Tell me
Yes.
when the flow starts and I will make that flow work. But until I
Yes.
have, yeah, that's exactly how it is. But and there, I'm not saying that it's not a hustle and it's not a grind and that it wasn't 100% you because it was. But
Yeah.
there's a balance of forcing everything and pushing too hard and just being like, what, when you go back to the core of what you're doing, instead of being like, we have to make $1 million in sales today and we're going to do
Right.
anything to make that happen. That's one way. And I'm a numbers girl. I love setting goals, but also saying, hey, I want this for myself. I want to make $1 million, but how it's going to happen, I can control these three pieces. So I'm going to control everything about those three pieces. And the other five pieces, I have to let go. I just have to
Yes.
not be 100% perfect and know that it could fail and be okay with that. And that
Yeah.
sucks.
I know.
It's so
It's
hard.
so hard. And I think like for sure we set these like big things, these big goals, I want to make $1 million or whatever it is. And then really where you have to find where you let go or you let it flow is in the tiny moments, like teeny tiny moments. Like for example, yesterday we went to Pinners and there's 500 booths and we're trying to set this goal. And maybe I'll tell you guys, we haven't really said it out loud, but we've been setting this goal. We have to sign two more clients. We set a numbers goal for October. We have to sign two more clients. And if we sign them, I'm taking my team to Disneyland. We're like, our team is like all gung ho. We've spent literally all week combing through this list of 500 people. We have like, we've rated them on like how successful we think they're going to be, or what would be the best fit or who we want to work with. We divided and conquered the whole floor yesterday. We were there from 8 to 5:30. No, it's not 8, 11 to 5:30. 11 to 5:30. But then we had a sales meeting in the morning. We packed a bunch of gift bags. Like this is like all hands on deck. We go every year. We do this every year, but this year it was bigger. And so a lot of the people that are on my list, which I had about 30 booths I had to go see, they were our tens. Like we're no brainer. We've worked with them in some capacity before, or we've known each other for years. Like we just need to like go and say, hey, we want to work with you. And the first few that I met for the first few hours, they had said like, oh, we just hired somebody else. And I was like, oh, great. Okay. And then there were a few that like, just I don't know, I just felt like defeated. And then there were a few other like former clients there that brought up old emotions. And so we sat down at lunch and I'm like, yeah, we're closing up shop. We're done. Like, I want to quit. I want to quit. I'm just so deflated, so defeated. I was also feeling like extreme exhaustion. My week has been insane. I had a busy, busy day. I didn't have time to get all the things in that I needed to on Thursday, yesterday. Anyway, and so in that tiny, tiny moment of sitting at lunch, I'm texting my husband and I'm like, I'm so done. Like I'm so deflated. I like feel like I'm teeny tiny. I'm nothing. And that's the teeny tiny moment that you're like, I have to grind and I have to just like yeah, let it go. Like it's so hard right then because there's so much evidence that we have failed. Or like, you had this plan in our type A, like you make the plan, I'm going to sign these people, we're going to go to Disneyland, we're going to be profitable, we're going to have a killer rest of the Q4. Everything is going to work out. And then when it doesn't go that way, you're like, who am I? Who am I? Like, who am I to be here talking to them? And like, do I even know how to send an email? Like, do I even know anything about email marketing? Like, I am no one. And it's in those teeny tiny moments that you have to like, it takes everything in you to just shift one little bit of thinking, even if it's just like, just walk to the next booth. Like, you're not going to send anyone else today. Just walk to the next booth. And so, and also like caffeinate yourself and get some carbs in you. Because that makes a big difference. Yes. Have some French fries and you'll be fine. So we had French fries and Diet Coke, and then the rest of the day ended up being really, really good. And we didn't sign anyone. Like, it wasn't like it went from, 0 to hero and we signed the 2 people and we're going to Disneyland. We still have to freaking hustle the next 6 days 6 days to get our goal. And but we ended up having some really great conversations, and you just have to like shove it out of your mind and move forward. And those are the times where you do have to just kind of let it go. And that's what it looks like. It looks like just putting the next foot in front of you when you're still so deflated, so bummed out, so like, how am I going to make this work? But you still keep moving. And that's, I think, what it looks like to let it go. I don't know.
As women, life demands a lot from us, but there is no reason for you to put your business goals on hold. At the Profitability Project, we understand that your business can't be your whole life. Balancing personal life and work is always hard, and we want to help you make the most of every day. We are here to craft financial strategies to help you achieve the lifestyle you want. With options ranging from online courses to done-for-you services, you'll discover new ways to maximize profitability, streamline your operations, and take the guesswork out of taxes. We have what you need to take your business to the next level. Interested? Learn more about the Profitability Project at theprofitabilityproject.com. That's theprofitabilityproject.com. Get ready to grow your business without sacrificing your entire life.
This is the roller coaster of entrepreneurship, is those moments of like, holy crap, I just did that amazing thing. I just signed that cool client, or I just, crushed that meeting with where you're riding the high and you're like, this is why I'm doing this. I am capable. I can do this. And then it seems like the next day, it's like, it just crashes into what you're talking about. And first of all, to know that companies that we love and admire and look up to also have those days is very reassuring, right? It's always good to get a little peek behind the curtain sometimes, and remind ourselves that this is not about me. Every business goes through this, but yeah, there's so many of those days where it's like, it's nothing's working. I pushed and I pushed and I pushed and nothing is working. And it's so easy to get discouraged and defeated. And you kind of answered this a little bit, but in those moments, what do you, if your younger self or even yesterday's self came to you today and said, like, I want to quit, I'm going home. What do you do? Do you say, take a break, get a Diet Coke, call it a day? Mm-hmm. Do you say, let go a little bit? Do you say, keep pushing? Like, what is it that you think business owners should do when they're feeling all of that imposter syndrome and defeat and failure come crashing down on them? Because for me, it happens sometimes every other day. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes there are seasons where it just feels like it's hit after hit after hit. Mm-hmm. What do you do?
Yeah. I had this conversation with somebody else the other day of just like, it's so great to know that we're not alone, that, that other people are doing it. And you do look at social media or networking events when everyone's smiling and everyone has their business cards and looking so cute. And it's like, nobody else has a hard day. Nobody else wants to freaking blow up their office and never work a day again. Like, could I be homeless? Probably. I could figure that out. Like, I don't care about money. It's really easy to look at everyone else and be like, they have it figured out and I don't. And so it's nice to hear that other people struggle too. And I think that that's what we need more as entrepreneurships and as women in entrepreneurship that we need to hear that people are struggling. I'm really working on this because for a lot of this year, I have felt like that. Like, what am I doing? Like, my kids are teenagers, and I could spend 60 hours at the office and it wouldn't be enough. And then there's days where I, take a Monday off and go on a field trip, and that's great. And so I've spent a lot of work around um I've done a lot of work around why do I want to do this? And I am in a really unique position where financially our family doesn't rely on my business right now. And so we are able to really grow it and scale it without having to bring home a lot of money. And so I don't there's some flexibility, which is a double-edged sword. I can, like it's such a great thing, but then there's this other like, oh, I could quit tomorrow. And so there's a lot of things that I rely on, like my I know our clients love us, but my team relies on me. I have 7 people that rely on that income. And so that helps me show up sometimes. But more than that, I think what I wish I would have done this year is to just let myself have a bad day. Like in those moments, I'm like trying to I keep telling myself I shouldn't feel this way because my husband has a great job. I have flexibility. I get to go to lunch on the middle of a Thursday with a friend. I've met a lot of people. I have this huge network. I find the self-confidence. We have some great tax write-offs because of the business. I was able to buy my own car. Like I've never done that before. Like I look at all these reasons why the business is so great and why I'm not allowed to be mad at it. And then I don't let myself have a hard day. And the days where I'm like, we're just going to hate our job right now. And if I could just let myself do that and yeah, caffeinate or have a meal or just take a day off. Like a lot of times I take Fridays off and those are really good reset days for me. Or um I take a half day or I take myself out to lunch and I sit outside. Like just let myself not be full CEO. I think it really helps my nervous system take a chill pill. And so I think I would tell my yesterday self or um my younger business self that like you're going to have bad days and that is normal, and when those come, figure out a barometer of saying at this point I need to walk out. I need to go take a nap. I need to let myself have a day off. Um take like literally mental health days. I let my kids take a lot of days off of school. Like this whole week they've gone an hour late to school. And I'm like, sometimes your body needs more rest than it needs an hour in science. And so why don't I give myself that? I need to give myself mental health days. I need to give myself sick days when even if I'm not sick. And when I've done that in the past, it's let me reset. And then I can come back stronger, you know? So that's like where I'm at on my like mentally clear days when it's a little bit down. Like it helps that I have a team, and when they get down, it's like being a parent. When your kids are having a bad day, you can look at it from above the weeds and say, oh, well, your friend didn't mean to be rude. Like you're fine. And I can tell my team that. And I think it's almost like reparenting or reteaching my CEO self. On my mentally clear days, I can look at all the things that the business gives besides revenue that I wouldn't want to go without, right? Like, what I've learned about myself, I would never trade. The confidence that I've gained, I would never give up. The network of new friends and people that I know, I would never trade. So a lot of those things I think do help me in the like semi rough moments, and then the really rough days is when you take a break.
And I think it's worth sometimes as business owners, at least for me, there's that voice in the back of my head that's like, well, the people that make it are the people that just keep going and keep picking themselves back up or whatever. And so it's easy to be like, I just got to push, push, push. And that's true, but it doesn't have to be right now. It doesn't have to be in this exact moment. And you'll be, like you said, more capable of picking yourself back up if you just give yourself a minute to breathe and allow yourself to be frustrated and,
Yeah.
worried or whatever it might be for just a minute.
Yeah.
And then, on Monday, come back and hit it again.
Yeah. And I think there are moments like yesterday in the middle of the Pinners Expo, I think it actually boils down to self-awareness. And I think an entrepreneur has to be extremely self-aware. And that's where like then you can set boundaries, then you can set expectations, then you can set goals. It has to start with self-awareness. And I knew in the moment that if I would have left, I could have left. And if I would have left, I would have gotten home and been really bummed. And then it wouldn't have helped, right? And so I knew a quick check-in was like, it just keep going. Worst case, the next 6 hours are terrible too. And then it proves my point. I should shut up. I should close up shop. Or best case, it turns around, which it did. So I think you have to check in with yourself of like, I don't know that you can set a boundary or a barometer or a limit until you say like, okay, what's worth it to me? When is it this like dig in and grind? Because my husband will tell me like, he'll text me, it's time to grind, like dig in. And there's times that I'm like, I'm freaking tired of digging in. Like I can't dig anymore. My freaking fingertips are sick of digging. I gotta take a break and then I can recharge. And I do think like, at least for me, my husband comes from, well, he's in sales, but it's definitely a more corporate background. And so his mindset is like more time, more money, more time, more money, more like harder work, better pay. And that's been really beneficial for our family. But for me, I'm like, I don't think it has to be that way. And so again, a self check in with me of like, this is what I'm hearing from a lot of people, like just grind, just dig in, dig in. But my body is saying, yeah, we can't do that anymore. And you can't show up for your kids, you can't show up for carpool, you can't show up for lunches, you can't show up for meetings if you don't take a break. So I think it starts with like self-awareness. But that there are days where the self-awareness is like, you're gonna kick yourself if you go home. So get in and do one more thing. Or I think it's definitely a very like a scale, right? Where there's days where I'm like, go home and take a nap or doom scroll for an hour or whatever. Like that's okay. But then there's days for the most part that I'm like, okay, send 2 more emails and then you can be done. Or make this one last phone call, then you can be done. And it's just that like next foot in front of the other.
I have a quick question, kind of it's not on that same topic, but I feel that topic very strongly because there's some days I'm like, my children are driving me bonkers right outside my office door, and I'm like, I just need space, okay? But, so I don't know if I want to admit this, but I do the marketing for
Okay.
PPP.
Love it.
Don't know if I want to admit that, but it's out there in the world now. Um, and I have a little bit of marketing background. I graduated with an associate's degree in marketing. And so I'm always interested in learning more from anyone who has more knowledge than me. And email marketing is one of those things. And I was just curious if you have any advice for like small businesses and email marketing, how you can learn to do email marketing. It's a hard thing. Marketing is so important nowadays, especially with social media and stuff. And I know email marketing, like Joey said earlier, is really intimidating to a lot of people. So any advice you have for small businesses and email marketing would be wonderful.
Yes, yes. No, I love that. My advice is to hire me. No, I'm just kidding.
There we go. The end.
Reach out to me and ask me and I'll help you. No, great question. I think I have some advice that yeah, because really it boils down to kind of the goals and where you're going with your business. But when I'm asked like that question or asked to speak on email marketing, I'm like, this is hard. It's what I do all day long. I love it. There's so much benefit to it. Everyone kind of already knows and understands the benefits of doing email marketing, but they do feel that overwhelmed because there's the technical side of like, how do I get it all to talk to where it needs to go and send when I need it to send? And how do I use these platforms? And then there's the design side. How do I make these look pretty? And you have somebody who likes one or the other. Like, I actually don't like the design and I'm not really good at the design. That's why I have a team that does all that side. But I can figure out technical side. So I can figure out any kind of software really fairly quick, but to then go to design a really great email, that's not my strength. And so I have found that a lot of business owners are one or the other. And we end up having both for sure. And so it's tricky that there's that. And then there's just all the education that goes into email marketing. And it's interesting, a lot of service-based brands mimic each other. Like there's so much, if I said talk about accounting or bookkeeping or taxes, you'd be like, give me 8 hours. I don't know, like that would be so hard to speak on for 30 minutes or even, an hour to put everything in one. And people think that email marketing can be taught in an hour or a 30-minute speaking session, and it's nearly impossible. So a lot of times when I speak or teach, it's a lot of the fundamentals and like basics. of like what platforms to use, how many emails to send, and how to figure that out, and then some of the basic flows. And so, for anyone who's listening, I'm happy to send you some of those slides and give you those basic information. But my point is, to your question, it's really hard to say like, okay, here's the 3-step process, because there's like a 700,000 step process to email marketing. And then once you finish those, there's 700,000 more, which is really, really fun. So I try to like start with the basics, especially for any, like, I'm thinking brand new businesses, what they need to know and what I think that they should know. And it's something that we've kind of adopted this year, which has really helped us niche down into just doing email marketing, is that, when it comes to marketing, so you have a lot of marketing firms, and there is a lot of digital marketing efforts. There's paid media on Meta, so Facebook, Instagram ads, paid media on Google. There's email marketing, social media, websites, SEO, blogs, and like blog revenue. There's even like, then we boil down into like YouTube and how to make money on YouTube. And there's all these channels when it comes to overall digital marketing. And it's a lot to digest. And I think you can, if you're going to work with somebody, I would suggest you work with somebody that has a niche or a specialty, because then they're really good at that one thing, because all these buckets are ginormous. So where to start? It's really hard. You have to kind of do a little bit of everything and find what you are naturally, quote unquote, good at, which at the beginning is just things that naturally, like, come naturally to you, that you can just, oh yeah, I don't mind posting on Instagram. I don't mind getting on my stories. Don't hire that out yet. If there's something that you're like, I know I should be doing that, but I'm totally avoiding it, that's what you probably should hire out, because it's going to be beneficial to have somebody else do that for you. But when it comes to digital marketing, you have acquisition marketing and then you have retention marketing. And I think that those are the two big buckets that you should look at and figure out what needs help and how much help in those different buckets. So when a brand new business is starting, it kind of depends on how you're acquiring customers to know if you should put money or time into acquisition efforts, or if for like, so for us, I was acquiring customers really, really easily with no website, no social media. It was all just kind of word of mouth. And so I don't know at that time that, I mean, I didn't, but I wouldn't put money into acquisition because I didn't have my back end systems figured out yet either. So, but if you're a small product based brand and you're like, I already know how to ship a product, I just need more eyeballs on my brand and more people buying it, then I'd probably spend more time learning and more money investing into acquisition of getting new customers into your website, into your flows, all of that. So overall marketing is really, I mean, when it comes to email marketing, understanding those two things is the first step, because email marketing is more on the retention marketing side. Once you get people in, then you can email them and communicate with them consistently and understand their online behaviors or their digital footprints, basically, to then get them to do more with you, or to do different things with you, or to buy more from you, or buy different things from you. So that's my long answer to, when you're starting with email marketing, you really have to understand those two parts. And if you don't have anyone joining your list or watching you on social, I wouldn't go hire us, because we can't really do a whole lot. I mean, we can do a lot. It's just not going to show a conversion yet, because you don't have anyone in your funnel. So,
I've never, this is probably really bad for me to admit, I've never thought about the two different sides separately. In my head, marketing is marketing, and we're just marketing. We're just supposed to do it, so we
yes,
do it,
yes,
Retention versus, say that again, retention
acquisition.
versus acquisition.
Mhm.
When I think about that when I think about our own business through that lens, it makes my marketing efforts so much clearer in my head,
Oh,
because
good.
our marketing is not retention. And that's because probably we're a service-based business, and the way that we do things, people sign up with us and they stay with us. It's a monthly service. We do it all day, every
Right.
day for them, right? So
Mm-hmm.
retaining them is actually done by the level of service we provide. They stay with us
Mm-hmm.
because we do a good job. And that's all
Mm-hmm.
that it really comes down to. All of our marketing is acquisition marketing. And it's interesting how just that slight shift in my brain, all of a sudden I'm like, I know what to write, because I know that I've been trying to convince people to buy from us in our marketing efforts, But to convince new people that we do a good job before they sign up with us, for whatever reason, that's blowing my mind. I don't know. That's really,
I love it. This
it's
is
just
great.
really good to
Yeah.
remember that this is about, for us, acquisition. And for a product-based business, it's probably about retention way more. But what's interesting is that you said email marketing is really good for retention, but here I am sitting here going, our email marketing is helping with acquisition. So it really
Yes.
just,
Okay, so next level, let's go deeper. Hopefully I'll blow your mind. You actually will utilize acquisition and retention in all the efforts. So I want you to take that shift and like let that help you for sure. But then if let's even think about your social media, you're actually really trying to retain them on to stay following you,
Right.
oh, so
right?
not retain them as customers, retain
There's a
them as
little
followers and interested parties.
Yeah. Like I know from what
Oh,
I see on your social, because I don't know the entire, I mean, I know your services, which I'm gonna hire you soon. Um, I know all those services, but I know you're also trying to do like you have some online education, you've done some speaking, like live events. That is probably under more your retention marketing, but it also helps acquisition because you could have someone like me who's not a client yet come to an event or take an online course, trust you, love you so much, and then I become a client. Sure. But also, if I am a client, then I might still want that education because I might refer it to a friend, or I might come to your speaking engagement because I am a client and I want to support you, or I want to learn more. Like there's still a really huge opportunity to do retention and acquisition, and they really go hand in hand. But a lot of people come to us thinking email marketing is going to make me money, and it will, but you have to be able to talk to somebody. So if you come to me with a list of 3 people, I can build out a bunch of flows. You're going to spend thousands of dollars with me, and it's not going to make you any money until you have more people moving through. So if you don't have an active acquisition campaigns or active acquisition efforts, my emails really do nothing. But if you're doing both, it can help each other. So like I agree that the service that you provide aids in retention marketing, and you feel like it's a gimme. But if I'm not getting consistent communication from you outside of that service, you might be leaving money on the table, because what if you're offering a new service that you just forgot to tell me about in a check-in call, or you just assumed I saw all your social posts, and so why isn't Abby booking this add-on service? Like that is so weird. She needs this. Well, you didn't tell me about it. So I could still spend more money with you. In fact, a lot of they fall more in service based, like contract manufacturers. We've worked with them before too, and I'm like, you are more service based. You don't have a product with your name on it that you're shipping out, but you have a huge Rolodex of emails that don't know that you offer this new form of packaging or this new. Now you're offering fulfillment. You just expect that they saw your other efforts, and we're talking about social media at best having a 3% um, conversion rate, and then your email marketing, really a really great open rate, just somebody who's looking at your emails, is like 15 to 30%. So even 30% of your people at best are seeing your emails. Like we're having to do all the things for us to do all the things that we want to do in our business. So you need both. And I think if you look at every channel, you could find how you do give them an acquisition efforts and retention. So let's take social media alone. You're trying to grow your following, right? Most people are. So what kind of content do we have to create to get the algorithm to work in our favor to give us new people? That's acquisition, right? How do we go viral? How do we do some trends? How do we provide value? But then once somebody chooses to follow you, how are they committed to staying there? Continuing to provide education and value. They don't really care about the trends anymore. They're already there. But now you have to hook them. And then from there, how to get them to sign, that really kind of falls into to retention, because it's keeping them, retaining them in the overall flow. It's not really necessarily about where they spend money. I mean, in a perfect world, we would look at every channel and build out acquisition and retention efforts with like just content, acquisition and retention with emails, right? Because we want to acquire, so like even email marketing, while it leans more retention, you are trying to create an opt-in, give them a coupon code, get them a free audit, whatever, to get them on your list, acquire them on your list, and then we work on retaining them. Your Facebook ads or meta ads, you're trying to acquire new people, but then you do have some, I mean, that's definitely leans more acquisition. you're paying to acquire people, but then how do you retain them and get them to do what you want them to do? So there's really both for every channel. And I think that kind of helps. I think, like you said, a different lens of looking at overall marketing. And I think that awareness then can help you decide, where do I need help? Where do I hire out? Where are my strengths? And then if a brand understands some of those messaging or those efforts, then working with someone like us becomes super easy and cost effective, because we can jump in with both feet instead of being like, "Hey, what are we doing?" And they're like, "I don't know. You tell me." I'm like, "I don't know anything about your industry. You do, you know?"
Mind blown.
It's so interesting. You said earlier that, and I think it's so important to small businesses to hear this part, because there are so many different avenues of marketing. And you said earlier that you have to put your money where you're not strongest in. And I thought that was so interesting, because someone may be really good at marketing on Instagram, but not good at email marketing. So I think that's really important to note for small businesses. You have to really evaluate what you're good at, and then put those efforts towards things you're not, like put money towards someone to help you. So I just really like that. I just wanted to point that out again, because I think that's important.
The first person that I heard say this was Susan Peterson, the owner of Freshly Picked, and I know that she probably got it from someone else. I've heard somebody else quote somebody else saying this, but that she said, "Do what you do best, and then hire out the rest." And that's kind of come to me. And I know a lot of small, especially, like, I call them baby brands, someone who's like, generating less than maybe $50,000 a year. So it's just brand new, that they're like, "We don't have money to hire out the rest." Like, that's just it sounds great, but how do we do it? And I think that's a lot of where you guys come in too, to figure out like profitability, and how do we grab the money where we can to go spend it where we should. But I think when I have hired out things that maybe I can do, but I'm not great at, it's come back to me tenfold. Maybe not even a 10x, but just in so many ways. And I tell business owners that a lot, that the return on your time is worth way more um, in other areas that only a CEO can do. That, because anyone can create an email, anyone can post on social media nowadays. 10 years ago, you needed somebody who was like, "I know all the things," but a lot of people can do it. But where you want some specialties is where, yeah, you don't have a strength or something that you're avoiding, because you're leaving money on the table. And then you can take the time that you would have spent, 3 hours learning Flowdesk or learning Klaviyo or learning Canva even, and go spend that networking or going to an event or creating an online course or doing another download or creating a new product or talking to manufacturers. Like, there's so many things that you could be doing with, call it 3 hours, and I can create like 6 emails in that time. So you have to just watch, like, when you have a little bit of extra funds, investing it into your business in other people has always made me money. And it's stressful for sure. Like my payroll is way more than I ever thought it would be, but I wouldn't be generating the money that I am without a team that's working with me. So,
In those first few years, it seems like every time you take that next step in revenue, you're dumping it back into the business in one way
yes.
or another, because you take that leap on hiring out. But I think that's why people say the first 5 years isn't when you get rich, it's when you get good. Because the
Yeah.
first 5 years, every time you get a bump in revenue, you're now building a
Yes.
finance system, you're building a marketing system, you're building whatever it is that you're not good at. And I think that's why we're in business, is because we're one of those. A lot of people hate finance, they don't want to do it. And so they hire us to
Right.
do it for them.
Yeah.
And I love about your service that it's done for me. I
Mm.
don't I don't want to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever have to touch it. I want it to be automated. I want it to happen without me ever even knowing. Obviously, I want my message to be my message
Yeah.
and want it to come from me. But after that, like, please, I will spend my time with more clients. You know what I mean? Doing what
Yes.
I'm good at. So
Well, and to
agree
that
100%.
point, there's a lot of email marketers out there that do have free templates, free courses, like the education out there if you want to learn it. Like, if you are intrigued by it, you feel like you can design decent, your messaging, then yeah, 100%. Like, as much as I would want you to not do it and hire me, and I should tell you that, There's a lot of free resources out there or very inexpensive that you can get templates, you can learn that side of it and do it. But then there's other things that you shouldn't be doing. Maybe you shouldn't be working on your messaging, or you shouldn't be building out your website, or depending on whatever your industry is. I still think that there's things that you shouldn't have to touch. But for us, we sell time. A big part of it is time. And then the education and the expertise and the solution of this is going to be a revenue generator for you, and it's going to be a pipeline, and it's going to be part of your holistic marketing strategy. That's our business model of we want to get in, get our hands dirty, figure out what the brand is, what the messaging is, how do we convey this digitally, and then we take care of doing it all for you. So
Well, on that note, we've touched very briefly on, obviously you do email marketing and you are the queen. I signed up for and worked with you. Like I said, you did a kind of a Q4 special. So we talked about, what we wanted to say during Q4, kind of handed that over to you, and you've taken care of our Q4 emails. Tell me and my team and other businesses what's your bread and butter. Tell me what you're selling. How do people work with you, and where can they find you?
So yeah, we recently, well, actually over the summer, we did a Q4 package because a lot of times our brands will come to us in October and they'll be like, can we do Black Friday? And I'm like, yeah, you could 3 months ago. So a lot of, and I think that's also one thing to note with business owners. Please plan further ahead. I know it's scary and I know it feels really hard because you don't know what you're doing tomorrow. But when you can just like push yourself to get even 3 weeks ahead or 4 weeks ahead, you can follow trends way easier. You can pivot faster. It's just way more effective that way. So we knew that business owners would be feeling the pressure and all of that for Q4. And so in July, we launched our Q4 email concierge package where we basically come in, we do a in-depth strategy session with you of what are you doing October through December, and then what emails do you need to support those marketing efforts. And then we come in and we create all the emails for you and get them built, and you approve them and you're a part of the process. So we design them, we write them, we schedule them, and then it's all automated. And so we do packages like that. A lot of times we call them a setup package. We did this one specifically for Q4, but a lot of brands will come to us for setup packages where this is really great for brand new businesses or startups, that they know email marketing is important, but they don't have the time or the know-how to set it up. And they don't want to be, not collecting emails, or they don't want to be generating a bunch of money and then have to go backwards to set up their emails. And so we do a setup package where we set up your platform for you, and we strategize what platform you should be on. And then we create your welcome series, your post-purchase flows, your abandoned carts, your abandoned browse, all the basic fundamental series that need to be automated and flowing based on people coming in and out of your flows. We set all of that up, and then we train you. We actually give you an hour-long training session of where everything is that we built and how to use them and when you need to touch them and when they need to be edited and improved or switched around. So we do kind of that whole package for you. A lot of startups and small brands do that. Then after that, they kind of graduate into our like premier clients where they do a monthly agreement with us. And it's a set deliverable list on how many emails you're getting every month. Plus, you get check-ins and that overall marketing strategy, and everything is wrapped up in this beautiful marketing calendar that you get to take and run all your other efforts, like different things on your website or your social media. Everything else flows all together, and you will feel really, really organized and in control. And that's on a 6-month contract basis, and we do it all. We do all their emails. And then with that, we do reporting and optimization. So then we get into the numbers of how are these working? What are they doing? What are the numbers telling us? How do we use those and make adjustments and pivots for next month, next quarter? And we help really optimize the overall emails. The level beyond that is full optimization and deliverables. So we still continue to be in the weeds and sending emails, but we take a lot more time to optimize your overall email platform. And we do different segmentation. We do a lot of win back series where we get people to come back and shop with you. We dive further into your numbers. There's always more that we can do with optimization. So those are kind of the tiers. There's setup packages, then monthly retainer clients, and then kind of full optimization packages. We also help with Shopify websites, and with all of that, with emails, we also do SMS texting too. So that's kind of our full suite, I think. I know. I'm like, what else? I do consulting too. So like, if you ever want just like an hour of time with me of like asking all the marketing questions and how to kind of build out your overall marketing strategy, I do power hours. So I love, love, love those where I can we just get on and I'm like, what do you want to know? Just ask me all the questions. Let's do this. We do some consulting. It's so much fun. And yeah, that's the full gamut. Where you can find us is really, I love chatting in my DMs on Instagram. So you can find me at Abby Combs CEO. And then our business Instagram is E_studios marketing on Instagram. And so feel free to follow us and please send me a DM and ask me questions. I love answering questions. I love giving some advice. A lot of times I'll send you a quick voice message back. If I have to utilize my team to go build something for you, I'll charge you. But if it's just answering some quick questions on DMs, that's my favorite. And I love being in there. So feel free to follow us there and ask all the questions. And then if you're wanting to do a power hour or get on a phone call and just do a discovery call on how we can work with you, and if you need a setup package versus a monthly agreement, I can send you a link to my calendar and you can get on that and we can chat.
Can't say enough good things about you and your team. We worked with a couple members of your team throughout our agreement together, and everybody over there is so helpful, so kind, and you have been, again, even just this has been so helpful for us to kind of wrap our minds around the marketing and creative aspect of our business. So
Good. I'm so
yeah,
glad.
anyone listening on the fence, like 10 out of 10, just go learn from Abby in any way that you can, even if you're not ready to hire her. Like it's one of those things where you will learn so much just by being in your presence. But if you're ready to take the leap, Abby's the way to go for sure. Like I said, we've been in Q4 for 3 weeks and we've already seen conversion just on the work that she did for us. So definitely worth the investment. Well, Abby, I so appreciate you being here today. This was so great for us. And you know how much I love just hanging out and chatting and learning from you. So it's good to get to know you better, and so excited to, introduce you to hopefully our network and let them learn from you as well. So thanks for being here. Thanks for being our November Fenomena. You are amazing.
Yes.
So well deserved. And
I'm
again,
so honored. So thank you so much. And it's so fun. I don't get to chat about a lot of that stuff all the time because I feel like it's only email marketing. So this was fun to kind of look through the history and the story and all that. And I feel the same way about you guys. So thank you for having me.
Anyone who wants to follow Abby, Instagram, Abby Combs CEO, or
E_studios marketing. Yeah.
Perfect.
If you search in Instagram E_studios marketing, it will pull up. So
all right.
It did. I followed.
Yay.
You got 3 new followers on the business page just now. So it's all good. Perfect. All right. Thanks, Abby, so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Profitability Podcast. For more business and finance content, follow us on Instagram at The Profitability Project LLC or visit our website at theprofitabilityproject.com.